Have you ever sat in a room full of people laughing and talking, only to feel like there is an invisible glass wall between you and the rest of the world? Loneliness is not just about being alone. In fact, some of the loneliest people are the ones who seem the most active, the most helpful, or even the most successful. Recent psychological studies suggest that our brains have developed clever ways to hide deep loneliness, even from ourselves. But these hidden signals are always there if you know where to look. In this video, we're exploring the quiet psychology of deep loneliness. We often think of a lonely person as someone sitting in a dark room by themselves, but the reality is much more complex. Loneliness is a biological alarm system, much like hunger or thirst, telling us that our need for human connection is not being met. Today, we will look at 9 specific behaviors that reveal when someone is struggling with a lack of deep, meaningful bonds. Understanding these signs is the first step toward healing and finding the connection you truly deserve. 1. You take unusually long hot showers or baths. A fascinating study from Yale University found a direct link between physical warmth and social warmth. When we feel socially isolated or lonely, our brains subconsciously try to compensate by seeking out physical heat. If you find yourself lingering under a hot shower for 20 or 30 minutes, it might be your body's way of trying to replace the coldness of isolation with a sense of comfort. For example, you might realize that on days when you have had the least human interaction, your urge to soak in a hot bath is at its strongest. 2. You have become an internet binge watcher. When real-life social connections are missing, we often turn to parasocial relationships. This means you start feeling a deep, friend-like connection to fictional characters or YouTube personalities. Watching 6 episodes of a show in one sitting is often an attempt to fill a quiet house with voices and stories to drown out the silence. But here's where it gets interesting. You're not just watching for entertainment, you're watching to feel like you're part of a group or a community that doesn't exist in your physical reality. 3. You are the person who is always helping others. Many people hide their loneliness behind a mask of extreme helpfulness. By becoming the fixer or the person everyone leans on, you create a sense of being needed. This provides a temporary shield against the feeling of being unwanted. You might spend all your energy solving other people's problems so you don't have to face the emptiness in your own social life. For instance, you might be the first to volunteer for extra shifts at work or stay late to help a friend move, simply because the thought of going home to an empty apartment is too painful. 4. You struggle with interrupting during conversations. When a lonely person finally gets a chance to speak with someone, their brain often goes into overdrive. Because you have so many stored up thoughts and emotions, you might accidentally talk too fast or interrupt others. This is not because you're rude, it's because your social starvation makes you desperate to be heard and understood before the moment ends. Think of the time you met an old acquaintance and found yourself rambling about your week without letting them get a word in. That was likely a burst of pent-up social energy. 5. You over-attach to new acquaintances. Psychologists have observed that deep loneliness can lead to social snacking. This is the tendency to treat a casual interaction like a deep, lifelong bond almost immediately. You might find yourself sharing your deepest secrets or future plans with someone you just met a week ago. Most people never realize this, but this is a defense mechanism. You're trying to fast-track intimacy because your heart is hungry for the security of a close relationship. 6. You have a compulsive need to shop or collect things. There's a psychological phenomenon where people substitute human connection with material possessions. This is known as compensatory consumption. If you find yourself constantly buying new gadgets, clothes, or home decor that you don't really need, you might be trying to fill an emotional void with physical objects. A relatable example is the retail therapy high, the brief rush of excitement from a new purchase that quickly fades, leaving you feeling just as empty as before. 7. You have a compulsive need to check your notifications.
In the digital age, the ping of a notification acts as a tiny hit of dopamine that says someone remembered you. If you find yourself refreshing your social media feeds or checking your phone every 5 minutes, even when you're not expecting a message, it's a sign of social hypervigilance. You're scanning the environment for any sign of connection. It's like looking through a window, hoping to see a friend walking toward your house, but doing it through a screen. 8. You feel exhausted after simple social events. For the deeply lonely, socializing can ironically become draining. Because you feel like you have to perform or hide your true feelings of isolation, you use up an immense amount of cognitive energy. You might leave a party feeling physically wiped out, not because you didn't have fun, but because the effort of maintaining the mask was too high. You might find yourself sitting in your car in silence for 10 minutes after a social gathering just to recover from the social mask you had to wear. 9. You have an irregular sleep schedule. Loneliness and sleep quality are deeply connected. Studies show that people who feel socially isolated often experience fragmented sleep, meaning they wake up frequently during the night. Evolutionarily, our ancestors were safer in a group. Being alone meant being vulnerable to predators, so the brain stays in a state of high alert. If you find yourself staying up late scrolling or tossing and turning, your brain might be stuck in survival mode, not able to relax because it doesn't feel the safety of a tribe. Loneliness is a heavy burden, but acknowledging these signs is the first step toward changing your story. If you recognized yourself in these behaviors, know that you are not alone in your struggle, and it is never too late to start building the bridges you need. Start small. Reach out to one person this week or join a group centered around a hobby you love. If you found this video helpful, it might mean someone else needs to hear this too. Please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel for more deep dives into the human mind. Leave a comment below and tell us which of these signs resonated with you most. Let's start a conversation and remind each other that no one has to be truly alone.